Hello and welcome back. Today, as you can see, the sun is belting down. I've had to shut the blinds so that the light don't reflect off the camera lens and make it look all fuzzy. Right, so today's solar, 131 watts, and I've been having some, you can see there, some really good solar over the last couple of days. Bringing in what we got at the moment. I'll tell you exactly what I'm bringing in. Takes a little bit of time to get going. 9 amps at the moment. Nine and a half amps actually. 9.5 amps I'm bringing in. So yeah, by about midday, what is it today? Oh, it's gone midday, sorry. By about 3 o'clock, I should have full batteries, which is nice. So it looks like the winter months is now over. So all you guys that are thinking about van life, about this sort of time of year, you start getting good solar again, and your batteries will start charging up, and you'll be able to start running things and not worrying about too much about what you're doing. So up until sort of now, the last week or so, I've been on a sort of a budget using power. And that's why I don't do the air fryer and everything else. I mean, a lot of people use air fryers. I'm not one of them. I still rely on the LPG for me fridge and for me cooking and everything else. So yeah, it's sort of a mismatch of gas and electric for me. Anyway, today I thought I'd talk to you about the unexpected costs in van life. The things that you might not have budgeted for, what just sort of pops up on you. Right, so I've got a couple of them that have happened to me, and I thought I'd tell you about those because some of them can be quite expensive. So let's get into it. I'll tell you what I've got, or the problems I've got. Right, so the first one I knew was coming, which is my timing belt. Now that's going to cost, if I take it to a garage, between £1,000 and £1,500. So that is a big hit on my budget. What am I going to do about that? I mean, the parts themselves are about £200, £300, somewhere between £200–300 for the parts. It's quite a big job. It's probably, I don't know, about 3 hours, 5 hours work, I suppose. And the garages want a grand and a half out of you. That's what I've been quoted anyway. And I don't really trust garages that much, so I don't really want to take it to them. So that's a job I'm going to probably be doing this summer. If I do it myself, I'll film it and I'll show you guys the easy way of doing it. If there is an easy way, that is. But I'll break it down. But basically, you've got to take out your front light. You've got to take the wheel arch out, and then take off parts of your engine. And I'll break it down into sections to make it really easy, so that most people would be able to follow along and do the job themselves. I won't make it too complicated. So yeah, that's if I do it myself. I've still not decided whether I'm going to do it. I might get in somebody to help me do it. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, if you're not mechanically minded, £1,500, £1,000 is a big hit to take. And if you're not expecting that, then yeah. What else have I got? The brakes. The brakes, I think my brakes are wearing out and will need doing before my MOT this year. MOT is due in August. So I think I'm going to replace my discs on my discs and pads on all 4 wheels possibly. So that will be coming up in the future. Quite a big, well, I'll say big, a bit of a pain really. It's not a big job. I'll do that myself for sure. I've got a bit of a crack in my fiberglass, which I'll take you outside and show you that. Okay, so you can see I've got a little bit of a crack there. That's going to take a bit of fixing in the summer. So that's another job. It's going to be quite an awkward one as well, but lucky enough it's under there, so it's not going to stand out and notice very much. so that needs doing. Now that's going to mean fillering, painting and everything else, a bit of fiberglass work. I can do that myself. So again, that will be coming up this summer. I've got a glow plug warning light come up, and that is totally out the blue. I wasn't expecting that. At the moment the engine is starting totally fine. This come up a couple of weeks ago when me and Sue was off, where was we? Out on the Yorkshire moors somewhere. So we sort of come back towards town just in case, but it's been starting and having no issues since then. Now there's a difference of opinion on what you should do, whether you should replace your glow plugs, whether you don't replace them, whether you just wait until you've got starting issues. I don't know. Again, it's another big jobby. It's another £500-ish to have that fixed by a garage. And if you know anything about the glow plugs, they usually snap. If they just undone and came out no problem, I'd have no issues doing it myself. But the problem is that they normally snap off, or at least one or two of them would snap. So that's something I've got to think about, whether I'm going to do it myself. I'll have to buy specialist equipment just in case they do snap. And again, it's stuff that I don't really want to pay out for. But I don't really trust garages to do that job, because you end up with metal filings in your engine, and it's a bit of a pain of a job, because you've got to take a lot of the front of your engine apart just to get to the glow plugs themselves. And it does help if you can take it apart and soak it in penetrating oil. So that's something I'm thinking about doing myself this summer, and if I do, again, I'll film that and show you guys how it goes. What else is there? Everything else on the van seems to be working pretty well. Right, so all these problems now have started to materialize after my van is getting on for 50,000 miles. It hasn't quite done 50, it's about 46,000 I've got on the clock now. 5 years old, and these problems have started to pop up now. So if you're looking at buying a second-hand van with similar sort of or more mileage than what I've got on my clock, you at least want to make sure that your timing belt has been done, if you've got a timing belt and not a chain. So yeah, there's a big cost involved in that, so you don't really want to buy something with over 50,000 miles that hasn't had the timing belt done. Yeah, so what do you do if you're not mechanically minded yourself? This is something that you've got to budget for in the future. So I'm fairly lucky, I think, because I've got a fairly newish van, 5 years old. I know what it's been through, and that's the other thing as well with doing it yourself. If you've done it yourself, like I've done my own services, or at least I've done my services after the first one I had done at the dealers, which I wasn't happy with. I've been doing the others since myself. You know it's been done, you know it's been done reliably, and everything's done right. So that's why I prefer to do things myself rather than take it to a garage. You might pay a garage to actually change your engine oil, but you never really know, do you? I mean, unless you're going to pull the dipstick out and have a check, I guess you can tell that way. And that's why I didn't like the idea of my first ever service being done at the main dealers, because when I did pull the dipstick out, it was black. My oil was black where it should have been golden. And so obviously I think they didn't change the oil, but I can't prove anything. I don't know. They say they changed it. That's it, innit, with garages. You take your car to a garage or van to a garage, you expect them to do the job, and they just might not. I don't trust them. I don't know, what do you guys like? Do you fix it yourself, or do you take it to a garage? I mean, I wonder what's the best bet. I mean, it's all right if you can find yourself a really good mechanic who you can trust and who doesn't charge you an arm and leg. But I mean, some of the jobs are quite big. I mean, the timing belt is probably, like I say, 5-hour job. The the glow plugs, if I do those, could be anything from an hour up to 3 hours. I mean, you don't know. It depends if they snap, what sort of job you've got. You could have a simple job of undoing a few bolts and everything works out for you, or you could have a complete nightmare where you've got to retap glow plug holes and give yourself a right pain. So yeah, these are some of the things that you've got to think about living in a van for the future. And if you're not mechanically minded, you've got a sort of budget for somebody else to do these repairs. Yeah, so what I'm basically saying is, don't leave yourself without any contingency money. You're always going to need a little bit of money saved just for those occasions that you're not expecting, and for repairs to the van, or for even if you have to put yourself up in an hotel or something for a couple of days. So yeah, that's today's video.